CD3. American English File, 3rd edition, Student Book 5, by Christina Latham Koenig, Clive Oxenden, and Jerry Lambert. Published in copyright Oxford University Press, 2021. 5.1. The Chocolate Meditation.
Again and again, people tell us that mindfulness greatly enhances the joys of daily life. In practice, even the smallest of things can suddenly become captivating again. For this reason, one of our favorite practices is the chocolate meditation. In this, you ask yourself to bring all your attention to some chocolate as you're eating it. So if you want to do this right now, choosing some chocolate, not unwrapping it yet, choosing a type that you've never tried before or one that you've not eaten recently. It might be dark and flavorful, organic or fair trade, or whatever you choose. Perhaps choosing a type you wouldn't usually eat or that you consume only rarely. Before you unwrap the chocolate, look at the whole bar or package, its color, its shape, what it feels like in your hand, as if you were seeing it for the very first time. Now, very slowly unwrapping the chocolate, noticing how the wrapping feels as you unfold it, seeing the chocolate itself. What colors do you notice? What shapes? Inhaling the aroma of the chocolate, letting it sweep over you. And now, taking or breaking off a piece and looking at it as it rests in your hand, really letting your eyes drink in what it looks like, examining every nook and cranny. At a certain point, bringing it up to your mouth, noticing how the hand knows where to position it and popping it in the mouth, noticing what the tongue does to receive it. See if it's possible to hold it on your tongue and let it melt, noticing any tendency to chew it, seeing if you can sense some of the different flavors, really noticing these. If you notice your mind wandering while you do this, simply noticing where it went, then gently escorting it back to the present moment. And then, when the chocolate has completely melted, swallowing it very slowly and deliberately, letting it trickle down your throat. What did you notice? If the chocolate tasted better than if you'd just eaten it at a normal pace, what do you make of that? Often we taste the first piece and perhaps the last, but the rest goes down unnoticed. We're so often on autopilot, we can miss much of our day-to-day lives. Mindfulness is about bringing awareness to the usual routine things in life, things that we usually take for granted. Maybe you could try this with any routine activity. Seeing what you notice, it could change your whole day.
.2 1.
One thing I really hate waiting for is waiting at home for a delivery to arrive, because sometimes you get like a 2-hour delivery window, and that's fine, but more often they'll say, could be any time 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and you're stuck in the house. You don't even dare go and buy a gallon of milk, and of course it always ends up arriving at 5 to 7 in the evening, and you've spent the whole day waiting.
2.
It annoys me if I have to wait for web pages to load, if there's a really bad internet connection and the pages are really slow to load, and you actually sort of see one line loading at a time, pixel by pixel it seems. But invariably if you need the information, you sit and wait as long as it takes.
3.
Is there anything I really hate having to wait for? Not really. I'm pretty patient. If I'm in a line, I'm pretty patient, but I will get annoyed if people start to disregard the laws of lines and try to cut in, or try and get to the front in some other way. As long as there's a system to follow, that usually keeps me calm.
4.
I really hate waiting for anything where I've been given an appointment time for a specific hour, a specific time, and then having to wait forever before I have it. So, for example, a hairstylist or a dentist or a doctor. I think particularly things like hairstylists and dentists, because I think they must know how long the previous person's going to take, They don't have to deal with emergencies or anything like that, so why can't they give me a correct time? I mean, I'm very punctual, so I always turn up on time. In fact, usually at least 5 minutes early, and it really, really annoys me if I have to wait for a long time. Anything more than 15 minutes past the appointment time drives me completely insane.
5.
Waiting for Jerry, my husband, is a complete nightmare because he's never ready on time, and I always tell him to be ready 15 minutes before we need to be ready, and even so, he's so late. It drives me completely bananas. I don't know why it drives me completely bananas because, in fact, often we don't need to be there on time, or it doesn't need to be that kind of precise, but it does. I hate it. He's preening himself, getting his jacket on and looking at himself in the mirror. I mean, he takes much more time than I do.
6.
I can't abide waiting in check-in lines at airports because I'm standing in the line watching people take forever to check in. And I know that when I get to the front of the line, I'll do my check-in in 20 seconds. I don't know why these other people can't do the same.
5.3. 1.
But more often they'll say, could be anytime, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
2.
You actually sort of see one line loading at a time.
3.
I always turn up on time. In fact, usually at least 5 minutes early.
5.4. Expressions with time. Verbs. 1.
I waste a lot of time playing games and messaging on my computer instead of studying.
2.
If you take the freeway, you'll save time. It's much quicker than the local roads.
3.
I had 3 hours to wait for my flight, so I sat there doing Sudoku puzzles to kill time.
4.
There's no hurry, so take your time.
5.
When my mother was young, she never had the chance to travel. Now she's retired and wants to make up for lost time, so she's booked a trip around the world.
6.
The novel is 700 pages long, and I'm a slow reader. It's going to take me a long time to finish it.
7.
I'd better go home now. If I'm late again, my dad will give me a hard time.
8.
I would like to go camping this weekend, but my final exams are next week, so I can't spare the time.
9.
My children take up all my time. I never seem to get to read a book or watch a movie.
10.
New York's such a fantastic city. You're going to have the time of your life there.
11.
Let's not spend too long at the museum or we'll run out of time.
5.5. Prepositional phrases. 1.
I'm really punctual, so I hate it when other people aren't on time.
2.
I've never heard of that singer. He must have been before my time.
3.
By the time we got to our hotel, it was nearly midnight.
4.
I missed the birth of my first child. I was on a plane at the time.
5.
He's been working too hard recently. He needs some time off.
6.
If we don't take a taxi, we won't get to the airport in time for the flight.
7.
I don't eat out very often, but I do get takeout from time to time.
8.
He suffers from back pain, and it makes him a little irritable at times.
9.
You can come anytime from 10 to 2.
10.
He's a little behind the times. He still thinks men should wear a suit and tie at work.
11.
Don't try to multitask. Just do one thing at a time.
5.6. Expressions. 1. I.
The referee's looking at his watch. There isn't much time left.
2. B.
He hardly spoke to me at lunch. He spent the whole time talking on his cell phone.
3. J.
I'm really looking forward to my vacation. This time next week, I'll be lying on the beach.
4. D.
I'm sorry I can't help you this week. I'm a little short on time.
5. F.
I can't afford a new computer. I'll have to make do with this one for the time being.
6. G.
She's sure to find a job eventually. It's only a matter of time.
7. E.
I think I need to take up a hobby. I've got time on my hands since I retired.
8. C.
Stop writing, please. Time's up. The exam is over.
9. A.
I really thought I was going to be late, but in the end I got to the airport with time to spare.
10. H.
You look very young in that photo. It must have been taken a long time ago.
11. L.
I hate doing my taxes. They're incredibly tedious and time-consuming.
12. K.
You've had that computer for years. It's about time you got a new one.
5.7. 1.
We need to make up for lost time.
2.
He gave me a really hard time.
3.
We're going to run out of time.
4.
Could I have some time off next week?
5.
At times I feel like giving up completely.
6.
Time's up. Please stop writing.
7.
Let's not waste time on that.
8.
It's only a matter of time before they break up.
9.
Did you have a good time last night?
10.
It's about time you learn to cook.
5.8. 1.
Not at all.
Do you mind if I sit here?
Not at all.
2.
First of all, we're going to review the vocabulary from yesterday.
3.
Pick it up. That's your towel on the floor. Pick it up.
4.
In an hour.
When'll you be back?
In an hour or so.
5.
On our own. Don't worry, we'll find it on our own.
5.9. Money. Nouns. 1.
Budget.
2.
Grant.
3.
Loan.
4.
Fee.
5.
Fair.
6,
Savings.
7,
Donation.
8,
Fine.
9,
Installment.
10,
Deposit.
11,
Will.
12,
Lump sum.
5.10 Money in today's society. 1,
We live in a consumer society, which is dominated by spending money on material possessions.
2,
The standard of living has risen a lot over the past 10 years.
3,
People's income has gone up, but inflation is high, so the cost of living has also risen.
4,
House prices are rising, and many can't afford to buy a home.
5,
Online banking allows people to manage their accounts. For example, check their balance and make transfers and payments.
6,
People who have mortgages or loans have to pay high interest rates.
7,
A lot of people are in debt and have problems getting a mortgage to buy their first home.
8,
Some people make money by buying and selling shares of stock on the stock market.
9,
Our currency is unstable and exchange rates fluctuate a lot.
10,
A lot of small businesses went bankrupt during the recession.
5.11 Adjectives. 1,
Rich. Wealthy.
2,
Affluent.
3,
Well off.
4,
Loaded.
5,
Poor.
6,
Penniless.
7,
Hard up.
8,
Broke.
5.12 Slang words. 1,
Nice car. How much are you going to ask for it?
$5,000. What do you think?
2,
I need $5 for a sandwich.
Sure. Here you are.
3,
Great hat. Was it expensive?
No, only a 5-spot. I got it at a thrift shop.
4,
What's the building work going to cost you?
About $50,000. We're redoing the kitchen.
5.13
Where did the idea of microfinance come from?
The idea behind microfinance again goes back to the mid-70s. There had been, by that time, several decades of what we call the Western world giving massive amounts of aid to the developing world, and a realization that a lot of it was not working. There were still many people who were left poor. So, Muhammad Yunus is credited as being the father of microfinance. He's an economist living in Bangladesh, a very poor country. And he looked around and he said, what is it that the poor lack? What is it that they need? And the answer is obvious. They need money. And all of us, in order to get started, have had access to credit. So the poor can't get access to credit. They can't go to relatives to borrow because generally the relatives are as poor as they themselves are. And they certainly cannot go into a bank and borrow because they have no collateral.
How did Dr. Yunus solve these problems?
There are really 3 innovations that he came up with that are brilliant in hindsight. One was okay, the poor have no collateral, but let's figure out a way to create collateral, which means collateral is basically if you're not going to pay back the loan, that somebody's held responsible. So he came up with a lending methodology where there was a group of peers that were given the loan, and they would be lending to each other, and the group held each member accountable for paying back. The second innovation that he came up with is that it is very difficult for the poor to gather a lump sum to pay back a loan. But if you can break up that payment into very small, regular payments that are coming out of your daily income, then it's feasible to pay back the loan. So what microcredit did was to break up the loan payment into these very sort of regular small payments. And the third was really an incentive system that the poor were not encouraged to borrow a large amount. They only borrowed what they could use in their business and then pay back. And if they paid back successfully, then they were eligible for a larger loan.
5.14.
Do you have any examples of individual success stories?
Oh, I love talking about individual success stories because this is what sort of gets us up in the morning and gets us to come to work and stay late and do this work. Since I've been at Women's World Banking, I've been to the Dominican Republic, Jordan, and India. So I'm happy to give you a story from each of the three countries. The DR is a more established economy, if you will, and so the woman I met had already had successive loans that she had taken from our partner in the DR, and what she did was to start out, she was basically selling food from her kitchen. Making excess food and selling it to the factory workers. Took out a loan, sort of increased that business, and then set up a little cantina out of her living room so that along with food, she was selling cigarettes, beer, candy, etc. That business did well, took out another loan, and built a room on top of her house and started to rent it out. And so over 7 years, what she's been able to do is to completely build a new home for herself and rent out the old one. And this is going to ensure income in her old age because at some point she's going to be too old to work in the kitchen and to be standing on her feet behind the cantina counter. And she's looking at these rental rooms that she has been able to put on as her old age security.
5.15.
In Jordan, I'll tell you about a young woman that we met. Sort of the cultural norm in Jordan is that a fairly old husband can marry again and marry a fairly young woman. So the one that we met, her husband was now too old and sick. So while he took care of having a roof over her head, she had absolutely no means of earning more money for herself or her kids. And at her socioeconomic level, it's not considered proper for a woman to go out and work. So the only thing that she was able to do was she had taken a loan to buy cosmetics and was selling them from her living room to her neighbors. And this was considered to be an okay business for her because primarily she was dealing with other women. But it gave her that sort of extra money to use for herself.
5.16.
And then in India, where I was recently in the city of Hyderabad, and Hyderabad is this up-and-coming city, it's gleaming. Indians themselves are thinking of it as the next cyber city. But across town, they have slums where even now, both men and women have not gone to school, they're not educated, and their only recourse is to work in the informal economy. So the family that we met, the husband was a vegetable cart a vegetable seller, so he took his cart and went out into the more affluent neighborhoods. The son had dropped out of school to join his father to push a similar cart, and the mother had taken a loan to embroider saris. And she did this at home, sort of in her spare time. And what she really wanted to do was to amass enough income so that she could cut out the middleman, because she basically got half of what that sari was worth because she was handing it over to a middleman, so that if she could buy the materials herself, embroider it herself, and sell it herself to the store, she could in effect double her income without doubling her labor.
5.17.
And the answer is obvious: they need money. And all of us, in order to get started, have had access to credit. So the poor can't get access to credit. They can't go to relatives to borrow because generally the relatives are as poor as they themselves are.
5.18.
And the answer is obvious: they need money. And all of us, in order to get started, have had access to credit. So, the poor can't get access to credit. They can't go to relatives to borrow because generally the relatives are as poor as they themselves are.
5.19. 1.
20.
20.
2.
Internet.
Internet.
3.
Party.
Party.
4.
Smart.
Smart.
5.
Turn.
Turn.
6.
Honest.
Honest.
7.
Coffee.
Coffee.
8.
Awesome.
Awesome.
9.
New.
New.
10.
Root.
Root.
11.
Vase.
Vase.
12.
Leisure.
Leisure.
13.
Inquiry.
Inquiry.
14.
Mustache.
Moustache.
15.
Address.
Address.
5.20. 1.
20.
2.
Internet.
3. Party. 4.
Smart.
5.
Turn.
6.
Honest.
7.
Coffee.
8.
Awesome.
9. New. 10.
Root.
11.
Vase.
12.
Leisure.
13.
Inquiry.
14.
Mustache.
15.
Address.
5.21. Interview with a stress management coach. Part 1.
In your experience, what are the main causes of stress?
My clients and audiences tell me that their big stressors are too much to do, too little time, money stressors, commuting is a big stressor. I think that the opportunities to be stressed are everywhere.
Do you think life is more stressful now than it was, say, 20 years ago?
I think that today there are many more opportunities to be stressed. There are many more distractions, especially ones that are technology driven. And I'm a big fan of technology. We can use technology to help us reduce stress. But when you have emails coming in and text messages left and right and Twitter feeds and Facebook messages and TV and the kids and a job and maybe school, it really divides our attention and it produces a stress response that is often ongoing, continuous within us. And all of that stuff can take away the time to just relax, take a walk, not think about who's trying to communicate with us, and not needing to be on all of the time. So I think there are just more chances to be stressed today, and therefore we need to really pay more attention to reducing stress.
Can you tell us something about the effects of stress on the body and mind?
Stress impacts the body because it produces wear and tear. And when we are constantly stressed, our organs, our immune system become the punching bags of our stress response. Stress is really important, and in fact, it can be a lifesaver. But when it kicks into action all the time, it has a corrosive effect on us. So for example, our immune systems are weakened when we are under a lot of stress, and especially for a long period of time. When our immune systems are weaker, it opens us up to be more susceptible to illnesses in the environment. Stress contributes to high blood pressure, which contributes to heart problems and stroke. Stress impacts our sleep. So when we get stressed during the day, it often makes it more difficult for us to fall asleep at night, or to stay asleep, or to have a quality night's sleep. And if we don't get a good night's sleep, then we are tired the next day, which makes us more stressed in many cases. So it becomes a stress, poor sleep cycle that is stressful and tiring. So these are all reasons to really pay attention to our stress levels and to take action to reduce the stress.
5.22 Interview with a stress management coach. Part 2.
How can you help people deal with stress, and how long does it take to find a solution?
The great thing about stress management is that it's like a salad bar. There are 30 different choices on a salad bar, and some of us like most of the things that are offered, but some of us don't like everything. But we get to choose what works for us and what we enjoy. Same thing with stress management. There are more than 30 different ways you can manage stress. There are probably 30 million and counting. And we should pick the techniques, many of them easy and simple and fun, that we like, and therefore will be more likely to use them on an ongoing basis. So stress management can take as little as 10 seconds. You can look at a beautiful picture that you took on your last vacation. You can put it on your computer screen, you can put it next to your bed, you can put it on your desk, and just focusing on that photo of the ocean or a mountain or a beach can alleviate stressed feelings immediately. We can do 1-minute breathing exercises. We can exercise. We can take a 10-minute walk around the block. We can meditate each day. So there are many different ways to prevent and reduce the stress that we're experiencing. The key is to do it on a regular basis.
Are the solutions to stress physical, mental, or both?
Stress management involves both the mind and the body. They make great partners when we're trying to feel better and to cut down on the stress that we're experiencing. I once worked in a school where a student identified his stressor as riding on the subway. He felt very stressed going to school every day and very stressed when it was time to go home because the subway made him feel very closed in and like he wanted to escape. He couldn't stand the crowds. And then we opened up to the rest of the group and we asked them for different ways that this student might think about this stressor and different ways that he might act to try and reduce it. And the group came up with all sorts of great possibilities, including that he ride in a different car, in the first car or the last car, because it's often less crowded compared to the center car, which is where he always used to ride. And he liked that idea, and I heard from the principal of the school a few weeks later that he in fact had started riding in the first car, and for the first time in his subway taking life, he didn't feel stressed, he didn't feel anxious because the car was less crowded and he felt so much better. And you might think, well, that's such an easy answer. Why didn't he think of that himself? The truth is, and I think we all identify with this, we get into very fixed ways, habits almost, of thinking and acting because we deal with our stressors and have dealt with them in similar ways for a long, long time. So we lose the perspective. We don't take as much time to think about how we could deal with our stressors in different ways. So this is an example of how the mind and body and actions and thoughts can work together to really make a big difference in the way we feel.
5.23 Interview with a stress management coach. Part 3.
Are some age groups more susceptible to stress than others?
Stress is a very democratic occurrence. So older people are stressed, college students are stressed, babies get stressed, 30-somethings get stressed, men are stressed, women are stressed. So it's hard to say if one group is more stressed than another.
What makes students stressed? How does stress affect their lives or their studies? And what are the most stressful times in a typical student's life?
College and being a student can be really fun and exciting and rewarding. There are also a lot of stressors associated with it. There's the studying, there's the pressure to do well on exams so that you can get a better job and perhaps make more money. You are in a different environment that doesn't have the same support that you used to have, especially if you were back home. There is the social stress of needing to meet new people. And also for a lot of young people, especially those in their teens and 20s, we see a lot of mental health issues arise, and there's a greater need to get help for them while in school. But if you're not with your usual support network, it's even more challenging sometimes to do so. Stress makes it difficult to study, to focus, to concentrate. When you're sitting down to take an exam and you studied really hard for the exam and then all of a sudden you're having trouble remembering what you studied, stress can play a big role in making it more difficult for us to recall information. If you're doing a presentation, public speaking, that can be very stressful for a lot of students as well as professionals. In fact, still, public speaking is feared more than death by most people. Then there's the financial stress of being in school. Not only not having a lot of money to spend on things that you want to do, fun activities, but what awaits you when you graduate, which for many students is a lot of financial stress and loans to repay. So being a student, great fun, and also can provide a lot of great stress.
You set up Stress Busters as an anti-stress program for students. Can you tell us something about it and how it works?
We train teams of students to provide 5-minute free back rubs at events all over campus all year long. And people on campus come to the events, and not only do they get an amazing stress-relieving back rub, but they also learn about other stress reduction and wellness resources on campus that we train our students to provide. And we have seen incredible reductions in feelings of stress, tension, anxiety, lowering of feelings of being overwhelmed from before someone has the Stress Busters experience to after. We also find students telling us that they're better able to cope with their stressors and they're better able to complete the tasks that they have at hand after they have one of our Stress Busters experiences.
5.24 Interview with a stress management coach, looking at language. 1.
When you have emails coming in and text messages left and right.
2.
Stress is really important, and in fact, it can be a lifesaver.
3.
Stress contributes to high blood pressure, which contributes to heart problems and stroke.
4.
So these are all reasons to really pay attention to our stress levels and to take action to reduce the stress.
5.
The great thing about stress management is that it's like a salad bar.
6.
We can do 1-minute breathing exercises. We can exercise. We can take a 10-minute walk around the block.
7.
Stress is a very democratic occurrence. So older people are stressed, college students are stressed, babies get stressed.
8.
There's a greater need to get help for them while in school, but if you're not with your usual support network, it's even more challenging sometimes to do so.
5.25 1.
Are you currently more stressed at work or at home?
I'm more stressed at home at the moment because my wife has just had, we've just had twin girls, 8 months old or 8.5 months old now. So it is far more stressful being at home than being at work. I found work easy compared to being at home at the moment.
When things are stressful, what do you do to try to de-stress?
I put my earphones on and listen to music and just to drown out the sound of the babies.
2.
Are you currently more stressed at work or at home?
I'm stressed at both work and home. My mom is really sick right now. Work is busy and we're going through all sorts of changes with a project. And then I just got married. So there's been a lot going on.
When things are stressful, what do you do to try to de-stress?
This is my problem. I try to plan ahead and so that I won't be stressed at some point. But after a while, there's nothing you can do. So then you just have to practice letting go and relaxing and being in the moment, being happy with what is.
3.
Are you currently more stressed at work or at home?
Well, I work at home. I'm a self-employed writer, and I experience very little stress except in those rare periods when I'm up against a deadline. So I have no commute. My commute is walking from one room to the other, and I have a cozy little office, and I'm very happy and unstressed in work, which I think is very unlike most New Yorkers. So I'm very fortunate.
When things are stressful, what do you do to try to de-stress?
I de-stress by sitting down and breathing calmly and thinking about nothing, or sometimes thinking about the cosmos and thinking about the illusory nature of time, and that usually works. But as I say, I experience very low levels of stress because I actually spend a lot of time thinking about cosmological matters, and that has a very calming effect, I think, and I commend it to my fellow New Yorkers.
4.
Are you currently more stressed at work or at home?
More at home. I just recently moved from one place to another, and getting used to the new neighborhood. Where to shop, where to eat, how to get to work. A little stressful in trying to navigate, whereas where I lived before, I knew exactly what to do.
When things are stressful, what do you do to try to de-stress?
Work out. I work out, I read, I listen to music, I meditate. Yeah.
5.
Are you currently more stressed at work or at home?
I would say definitely more stressed at work. I think stress is quite contagious. I think I spend a lot of my time around stressed people, either in a room with them or on the phone to them, or just having emails from them. So I think that builds a lot of stress just from the environment, really.
When things are stressful, what do you do to try to de-stress?
I've realised quite recently that when I am stressed, I build a lot of tension in my shoulders. And I think it's not just a metaphor when we say we carry the weight of things on our shoulders. So I think it really helps just to be conscious of that, and every half an hour or so, just if I concentrate on relaxing my shoulders, everything seems to be a little bit more bearable.
5.26. 1.
Just to drown out the sound of the babies.
2.
Relaxing and being in the moment, being happy with what is.
3.
I experience very little stress except in those rare periods when I'm up against a deadline.
4.
A little stressful in trying to navigate, whereas where I lived before, I knew exactly what to do.
5.
And every half an hour or so, just if I concentrate on relaxing.
6.1.
Nowadays, we're surrounded by some powerful ideas about the sort of things that will make us happy. The first of these is that we tend to think that really to deliver satisfaction, the pleasures we should aim for need to be rare. We've become suspicious of the ordinary, which we assume is mediocre, dull, and uninspiring, and likewise we assume that things that are unique, hard to find, exotic, or unfamiliar are naturally going to give us more pleasure. Then, we want things to be expensive. If something is expensive, we value it more, whereas if something is cheap or free, it's a little harder to appreciate. The pineapple, for instance, dropped off a lot of people's wish list of fruit when its price fell from exorbitant, they used to cost the equivalent of hundreds of dollars, to unremarkable. Caviar continues to sound somehow more interesting than eggs. Then, we want things to be famous. In a fascinating experiment, a well-known violinist once donned scruffy clothes and performed at a street corner and was largely ignored, though people would flock to the world's greatest concert halls to hear just the same man play just the same pieces. Lastly, we want things to be large-scale. We're mostly focused on big schemes that we hope will deliver big kinds of enjoyment: marriage, career, travel, getting a new house. These approaches aren't entirely wrong, but they unintentionally create an unhelpful bias against the cheap, the easily available, the ordinary, the familiar, and the small scale. As a result, if someone says they've been on a trip to a Caribbean island by private jet, we automatically assume they had a better time than someone who went to the local park by bike. We imagine that visiting the Uffizi Gallery in Florence is always going to be nicer than reading a paperback novel in the backyard. A restaurant dinner, at which lobster thermidor is served, sounds a good deal more impressive than a supper of a cheese sandwich at home. The highlight of a weekend seems more likely to be a hang gliding lesson, rather than a few minutes spent looking at the cloudy sky. It feels odd to suggest that a modest vase of lily of the valley, the cheapest flower at many florists, might give us more satisfaction than a Van Gogh original. And yet the paradoxical and cheering aspect of pleasure is how unpredictable it can prove to be. Fancy vacations are not always 100% pleasurable. Our enjoyment of them is remarkably vulnerable to emotional trouble and casual bad moods. A fight that began with a small disagreement can end up destroying every benefit of a 5-star resort. Real pleasures often seem insignificant: eating a fig, taking a bath, whispering in bed in the dark, talking to a grandparent, or scanning through old photos of when you were a child. And yet these small-scale pleasures can be anything but small. If we actually take the opportunity to enjoy them fully, these sort of activities may be among the most moving and satisfying we can have. Fundamentally, this isn't really about how much small pleasures have to offer us. It's about how many good things there are in life that we unfairly neglect. We can't wait for everything that's lovely and charming to be approved by others before we allow ourselves to be delighted. We need to follow our own instincts about what is really important to us.
6.2 1.
Second-hand.
2.
Long distance.
3.
Last minute.
4.
Self-conscious.
5.
Worn out.
6.
Homemade.
7.
Air-conditioned.
8.
High risk.
9.
Narrow-minded.
10.
Well behaved.
6.3 1.
A hands-free phone.
2.
A dead-end job.
3.
A feel-good movie.
4.
Groundbreaking research.
5.
A high-pitched voice.
6.
A labor-saving device.
7.
High-heeled shoes.
8.
A low-cost airline.
9.
Eco-friendly detergent.
10.
A life-changing experience.
6.4 Phones and technology. Collocations. 1.
I need to charge my phone. The battery's very low.
2.
Can you give me a call this afternoon?
3.
I need to make a few calls now. I'll get back to you later.
4.
Do you want my cell phone number or my landline? Do you want my cell phone number or my home phone?
5.
I've been calling Tom on his cell phone, but it's busy all the time.
6.
I know he's been trying to call me all day because I have 3 missed calls from him.
7.
You have reached the voicemail for 555-4890. Please leave a message after the tone. You have reached the voicemail for 555-4890. Please leave a message after the beep.
8.
In some American towns, the reception isn't very good and people can't get a good signal for their cell phones.
6.5. Phrasal verbs. 1.
I have to hang up now. My flight's about to board.
2.
We were Skyping, but then we were suddenly cut off in the middle of the conversation.
3.
The memory limits for many cell phones top out at 64 gigabytes.
4.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to print the whole document because the black ink is about to run out.
5.
I tried calling her office, but I couldn't get through. The lines were permanently busy.
6.
I can't hear you very well. Could you speak up a little?
7.
If you hold, I'll put you through to the accounts department.
8.
If you already have an account with us, log in with your username and password.
9.
I need to delete some files to free up more space on the hard drive.
10.
If you scroll down the page, you'll see the attachment at the bottom.
6.6. 1. A.
Rang.
B.
Rung.
2. A.
App.
B.
Up.
3. A.
Hang up.
B.
Hung up.
4. A.
Cat.
B.
Cut.
5. A.
Ran out.
B.
Run out.
6. A.
Match.
B.
Much.
7. A.
Track.
B.
Truck.
6.7. 1.
Her cell phone has rung twice.
2.
What's up?
3.
They hung up.
4.
What a horrible cat.
5.
The printer's run out of paper.
6.
She's no match for him.
7.
There was a truck in the middle of the road.
6.8. 1.
Our country depends on young people to come up with new ideas.
2.
Many 30-year-olds are still dependent on their parents.
3.
People are totally fed up with the number of reality shows on TV.
4.
Older people aren't as open to new ideas as younger people are.
5.
People are sick of being bombarded with depressing news.
6.
A lot of people are hooked on superhero movies.
7.
As a nation, we are very proud of our sporting achievements.
8.
A lot of young people are addicted to social networking.
9.
A lot of people are obsessed with celebrities and their lifestyles.
10.
People are usually very kind and helpful to foreign tourists.
6.9. 1.
Dopamine is a chemical in the brain that makes you feel good.
2.
To quit a substance or a behavior means to stop taking it or doing it.
3.
Depression is a medical condition in which a person feels very sad and anxious and often has physical symptoms such as being unable to sleep.
4.
Brain chemistry refers to all the chemical messages that take place in the brain.
5.
Cravings are strong desires for something.
6.
To go cold turkey means to stop an addictive behavior very abruptly. For example, when a heavy smoker decides to just stop smoking and never has another cigarette.
7.
Nicotine patches are a kind of bandage that people use to try to stop smoking. They are stuck on the skin and release nicotine into the body.
8.
To have counseling means to get professional advice about a problem, for example, marriage guidance counseling.
9.
To have a relapse means to become sick again after having previously improved.
6.10.
Can you begin by explaining exactly what an addiction is?
I think we often think of addiction as being something like an illegal drug, but the truth is you can be addicted to a lot of things. Caffeinated drinks, fatty, sugary foods. It could be drugs, but it could be a whole host of other things. What's happening in your brain's pleasure centers is that whenever you do this thing, it rewards you. You get a flood of dopamine in your brain's pleasure centers, and over time, you start having more and more dopamine. Well, the brain responds to that in an interesting way. All this dopamine in your brain, just like with the radio when it's turned up too loud, your brain turns down the volume. So, if you've been drinking too much caffeine, eating too much sugar, your brain actually turns down the volume, so you have to drink even more or eat even more just to get back to your normal state.
So what does that mean for someone who's addicted to something and wants to give it up?
Well, have you ever noticed how people, when they quit a substance or a behavior, they're angry, they're depressed, they're unhappy? The reason is because their brains rely on the drug to make them not only feel good, but to stop them from feeling bad. So this is all a matter of reward centers in the brain, and when you become addicted to a behavior, you're just trying to get that pleasurable feeling, to not feel so bad anymore. And that's why it's so difficult to give up. Because once you're addicted, it's so hard to stop.
If someone wants to give up an addiction, would you recommend that they went cold turkey?
Well, it depends on what they're addicted to, and it also depends on the person. If you're truly addicted to video games to the point where you're not eating or sleeping properly, or you have migraine headaches from intense concentration, or maybe you have a video game addiction coupled with depression, we will give people medicine to change their brain chemistry, to help them decrease their cravings to play video games. They couldn't go cold turkey without some kind of serious risk. But food addiction, if you're addicted to fatty and sugary foods, you can't stop eating food, but you can quit that kind of food cold turkey. There's not going to be any problem in your body from doing that. And for some people, stopping smoking cold turkey is the best way to do it. But other people may be dependent on nicotine patches or gum for a while, or some other substitute.
I see. What other kind of treatment do addicts need?
The best treatment options are multi-pronged, so you may need counseling and sometimes you may need medication. And it's also vital if you can get support from your family, because these addictive personalities, They tend to push the limits, and they need all the help they can get not to have a relapse, fall back into their bad habits.
Dr. Stork, thank you very much.
6.11 Giving presentations.
Hi, I'm Louise. I work for a local newspaper here in London. I love writing and I really enjoy interviewing, but there's one thing about my job I really hate, and that's public speaking.
The problem is that no matter what work you do, speaking in public is almost impossible to avoid. These days, most roles require communication skills. From small presentations to big conference speeches, you need to be able to deliver a message clearly and confidently.
But for people like me, this isn't easy. I find speaking in public terrifying. I become tense and nervous and find it very difficult to relax. So that's why I've come here, to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art.
RADA first opened in the Haymarket in London in 1904. It offers training for theater specialists, including actors, stage managers, directors, and designers. It has become one of the most famous acting schools in the world, and some of the entertainment industry's biggest names have studied here.
But what am I doing here? Well, it's about time I overcame my fear of public speaking. And to do this, I need to become a good actor.
After all, actors and public speakers use a lot of the same skills. Both should tell a story, and both should engage an audience. Because of this, RADA runs several public speaking courses.
Series of individuals. And of course, individuals are never as scary as the mass. Does that make sense? Yeah.
People come here to develop an actor's approach to speaking effectively, and Sandy, an actor for over 30 years, is going to show us the way. The RADA approach to public speaking can be summarized in 3 words: think, breathe, speak.
Tell me if anything doesn't make sense.
No, it does, and I've always wanted a really grown-up.
First, we're going to focus on the think part.
First of all, I hope you don't mind me asking, but why are you here?
Well, I tend to do a lot of one-on-one work with people when I'm interviewing them, or if I'm...
At this stage, you talk through your concerns and set an objective for the session.
Group of people, and they're not behind a microphone or TV camera. I get so nervous, even like meeting new people at parties or dinner parties. So it would just be good to learn a few techniques to feel more confident.
Okay, so...
Then you give a presentation in your usual style and get some interesting feedback from Sandy.
So that's about it.
Cool. Very, very well done. Thank you very much indeed. Really well done, Lou. How was that for you? So I think you're absolutely charming, Lou. You come across with a really positive energy. You've got a lovely open face. You very clearly are naturally engaging, which means I, as your audience, are naturally engaged. You're friendly, you're affable, and you've got a great smile, which is wonderful. Small things that I think you might be able to do differently. So you were playing with your feet. You were playing with your feet like a 5-year-old. So if I say that you were doing that on your heels,
right.
on your, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you crossed your legs.
Right.
Probably the most significant thing that I noticed that you could do differently is to slow down and see yourself and feel yourself confident and sure.
If you can get your body language right, it will help your breathing, and controlling your breath is central to good public speaking. You learn to relax and find the power behind the voice through warm-up and breathing exercises.
So you're aware of that amazing range you in fact have, yeah?
Yeah.
So you're breathing in, sighing out, pushing all the air right out, waiting.
Once you have mastered the thought and the breath, you can finally speak. But this isn't as easy as it sounds.
Good afternoon.
Brilliant. You've done that really, really well. Got the hang of that. So now we're going to get a bit of oomph into our voice by doing it like an opera singer. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're going to leave a stage.
It isn't always easy to speak naturally, but eventually, after a lot of practice, the words start to flow. Then you can move on to a full paragraph.
I'll share some very embarrassing stories, and I'll explain the impact that our work has on very lonely people.
You have to make an impact from the beginning, and Sandy gives you the ABCD of the perfect opening. And it's just as important to end on a positive note.
And body language, and anticipate finishing by 4 p.m.
Speaking and communicating are two very different things, and communicating effectively takes skill, perseverance, and lots of hard work. Unfortunately, it isn't as easy as just reading the right words. You need to tell the story too. But if you can do this, you will draw in your audience, and as they relax, you'll relax too.
Yeah, I thought your pace was excellent. It was really measured, it was clear. I would have understood exactly what you were about to do, who you were, and why you were doing that. So as far as I'm concerned, that was really, really effective communication.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
I still feel nervous about speaking in front of people, but at RADA, I enjoyed public speaking for the first time. And the more I enjoyed it, the better I became. And that's what the RADA technique is all about. It gives you the skills to grow in confidence. So, like an actor, you can face your audience with assurance rather than fear.
End of CD3.